Hello students, and welcome to part 2 of solving equations with like terms on the same side. In this part of the video we're going to look at 3 application questions and also 2 special types of solutions to equations. So in our first application problem it says that the perimeter of the table below is 184 inches. And then it asks what is the length of each side? Well, we know that the perimeter is the distance the entire way around the figure. In other words, we could add all the sides. And we know that is a signal word for equals, so we know it equals 184. So we know that this side of the table is x, this side of the table is x plus 20, so we have to add that to it. And we know this side of the table is x, so we have to add another x. And that this side of the table is x plus 20. And we know that that equals 184. Now, combine the like terms that we see on the same side. This is all on the same side. So we have x plus x plus x plus x, which makes positive 4x. We also have constants that are like terms of plus 20 and plus 20, which makes plus 40. And we know that that's equal to 184. If we subtract 40 from each side, positive 40 minus 40 makes 0, so we get 4x left over. 184 minus 40 makes 144. Divide each side by 4. If we divide 144 by 4, 4 will go into 14 3 times, which is 12. There's 2 left over, bring down the 4. 4 goes into 24 6 times, which is 24. So we end up getting x equals 36. Now this does not answer our question. It said what is the length of each side? We now know that x is 36. So this side is 36 plus 20, or 56 inches. So if we restate our answer, two sides of the table are 36 inches, and the other two are 56 inches. Alright, let's look at another geometry example. The perimeter of the triangle is 114. What is the value of x? So all we're looking for is what x is. And again we see that the perimeter, which means to add up all the sides, is, which means equals 114. So let's add up all the sides. This side is x plus 55, so I'll write x plus 55. Plus, and this side is x plus 15, so x plus 15. And this side is x plus 50. And together that equals 114. Add them together, x plus x plus x makes 3x. Add our constants, 55 and 15 makes 70, plus 50 more makes 120. And that's equal to 114. Now this is a two-step equation. You could make or do an undo chart if you need to. It will tell you to subtract 120 from each side. 114 minus 120 is negative 6. So we get 3x equals negative 6. Divide each side by 3 to create a coefficient of 1. And we get x equals negative 6 divided by 3, which is negative 2. So the value of the variable is negative 2. Let's now look at a number puzzle application. It says find 3 consecutive numbers, which means one right after another, whose sum, which means to add, is 1,260. Now, do we know the first of the 3 consecutive numbers? No, so we're going to put x. But we know that the second one will be 1 more than it, so we'll write x plus 1. And we know the third one will be 1 more than that, or x plus 2. So if we add them together, x plus 1 plus x plus 2, we know it will equal 1,260. Combine like terms, x plus x makes 3x, positive 1 and positive 2 makes positive 3, and that's equal to 1,260. You can create a do and undo chart now if you need to. It will tell you to subtract 3 from each side. We get 3x equals 1,257. Divide each side by 3, and we get x equals, we divide 1,257 by 3. 3 goes into 12 4 times, which is 12. So there's nothing left over. Bring down our 5. 3 goes into 5 once, which is 3, so there's 2 left over. Bring down our 7. 3 goes into 27 9 times, which is 27. So we get that x is 419. In other words, the first number is 419. That means the second number is 420, and the third number is 421. And together, these three numbers will add to create 1,260. Now, let's talk about special solutions to equations. Sometimes when an equation is written, there is no solution, or there can be infinitely many solutions. If there is no solution, that means there is no number that could ever exist to make the equation true. If there are infinitely many solutions, that means that any number will make the equation true. So let's focus now on no solution. Remember, when an equation has no number that could ever exist to make the equation true, it is said to have no solution. When an equation with no solution is solved, it will solve to state a contradiction, which is also called a false statement. So here's an example of an equation that has no solution. If we draw our line down the middle, we can see that it has like terms on this side. 2x minus 2x makes 0. So we're left with positive 8 on this side and 5 on this side. If you read what's left, it says 8 equals 5. Is 8 equal to 5? No. So this is a false statement, which we know is called a contradiction. And that means that there is no solution to this equation. There is no number that could ever be put in place of x for that equation to be true. Now let's look at the opposite. Infinitely many solutions. When an equation has infinitely many solutions, that means any number will make the equation true. When an equation with infinitely many solutions is solved, it will solve to state an identity, a true statement. And here's an example. If we draw a line down the middle, we can see that this left side has like terms. Negative 5x plus 5x makes 0. If you owe 5 and you have 5, you have nothing left. That leaves us with 10 equals 10. Is 10 equal to 10? Yeah, that's a true statement. So that is called an identity. And when we have an identity statement, we know that there's infinitely many solutions. Infinitely many solutions. And that means we can put any number that we want in for x, and it will always make that equation true. So let's summarize what we've learned. Our first essential question said, how can I solve equations that contain like terms on the same side? And the answer is, first, be sure to simplify. Do the distributive property, combine like terms on the same side, and or combine like terms on the opposite side, which we'll learn about in our next lesson. And then second, use inverse operations to isolate the variable. Our second essential question said, what types of solutions exist to an equation? There can be one solution, which means when you solve it, the equation will give you a constant that the variable equals. There could also be no solution, which means when you solve it, the equation will give you a contradiction or a false statement, which will imply that there is no solution. Or third, there can be infinitely many solutions. When you solved the equation, it will give you an identity, which is a true statement, and that will tell you that there are infinitely many solutions.